One of the blessings of being Jewish is that we are family focused. Theology is important, ritual is important, but ultimately, everything that we do is for the sake of building the Jewish home. One of the blessings of being Jewish is that we are family focused. One of the curses of being Jewish is that we are family focused. Theology is important, ritual is important, but ultimately everything that we do is for the sake of building the Jewish home. And so when we aren't parents, when we aren't partnered, this beautiful peoplehood of ours, so focused on family, can feel incredibly non-familial, can feel lonely and alienating. The essence of that simultaneous blessing and curse comes from our identity as a peoplehood, as a tribe. Our Parashat this morning is Bahar, which translates to on the mountaintop, which sometimes for better and sometimes for worse is how we see our Jewish identity. From the top of the mountain, all-encompassing, a broad brushstroke to monolithically paint a picture that certainly is not monolithic. And again, there's something very important and something very necessary about that broad brushstroke. I don't want to give it any discredit. It allows us to refer to ourselves as an us. That's important. It's a beautiful part of who we are. It allows us to bond ourselves with Jews around the world, no matter their background, their practice, their country of origin. And it also sometimes hobbles us and keeps us from seeing the individuals that make up our tribe. Tomorrow, of course, is Mother's Day. If I wouldn't have known it from the calendar, I definitely would have known it from the overwhelming amount of flowers and cards at the front of my local Kroger this past week, or from the seemingly endless amount of promotional emails flooding my inbox. I think we all know that tomorrow is Mother's Day. If you don't know, you have a little bit of time. Tomorrow we celebrate mothers. And I think we also know that, truthfully, we should be celebrating mothers every day. But tomorrow we give extra love to mothers. But despite our best intentions, days like this that show up on our calendar can often put us back on the mountaintop, looking out over our congregation, over our community, our society, and making some assumptions. Assumptions that were probably honestly not great to make 30 years ago, yet alone today in 2023 when our world looks so very different than it used to. Because here are some important truths, capital T truths, built into this family of ours, our CSE family. There are people in this community, in this room, who don't want to be mothers, who don't want to have children. There are people in this community, in this room, who desperately wanted and want to have children, but can't, for a variety of different reasons. And there are people in this community, in this room, who have lost pregnancies and have lost children. Now, before I'm misunderstood, let me say right at the beginning here that this is not an appeal for us to drop Mother's Day. Okay? Let me say that from the outset. Or for us to not celebrate mothers. Hahefech. We should celebrate the mothers in our lives, and we should certainly celebrate them more than one time a year on a special designated day. But what I am suggesting, and what I think is crucial for us to suggest, is that we approach the blessing of Jewish family with patience, with understanding, and with compassion. Because it really is far more complex, far more painful for some than many of us know and recognize. For Meredith and I, there was nothing in this world that we wanted more than children. And so when we set out to start our family, we went in with this blissful ignorance that everything would go just the way that it's supposed to go. And when that didn't happen, when we tried and lost, and when we turned to the amazing doctors and scientists at Reproductive Medicine Associates of Michigan, we had to have painful conversations about the possibility of it might not happening at all. And Dafka, after our Elior was born, after our son was born, through the help of science, when we went through the hell of medical malpractice that forever changed our lives, we were told by numerous doctors that we should be thankful for our one, because there was no way we could safely have a second. We have today, Toda La'el, thank God, 2 beautiful boys. And I want you to know, and I want you to hear me clearly, that those beautiful boys are products of science. And they are products of, as RMA, Reproductive Medical Associates of Michigan, say, that they put on their complimentary onesies lots of love and a little bit of science. But that journey, and sorry for putting this so crassly, but I don't know another way of saying it, that journey to those 2 beautiful boys sucked. It did. It was awful in a lot of different ways. And you know what? We were lucky, because that journey doesn't end with children for everyone. In fact, for many, it doesn't. And so when people asked us after we got married when our babies were coming, to be truthful, to be honest, sometimes it felt like a knife in the gut, because we didn't know when they were coming, and honestly, we didn't know if they were coming. And that's just our story. And out here, out in these seats, out there in the homes of our congregants who are watching on stream and on Zoom, of our friends and our loved ones, are other stories. Stories of loss, stories of feeling judged for not wanting children at all, stories of biological impossibility, stories of adoption rejection. There are stories of those who are looking for their beshert, stories of those who see everyone around them getting married and starting families and feel not just on the periphery, but left out entirely. There are so many who feel swept up in the view from the mountaintop that they are left out completely. And I think it's important for us to talk about this because we have some work to do. And please hear me, we don't have work to do because we've behaved badly or should feel guilty at all. That's not what I'm saying. We have work to do because while it's vital for us to see ourselves as a tribe from the mountaintop, we also have to do a better job of seeing the individual families that make up our tribe, of hearing them, of moving away from the assumptions and the broad brushstrokes so that we can celebrate the unique journeys of each and every one of us and our contributions to Am Yisrael, to this big, beautiful family of ours. And that starts here. That starts within these walls, and that starts with the way we speak to one another, the way that we communicate as a congregation, the way we program events, learning opportunities, and social outings. It starts with us celebrating the us, and then without any paradox, digging in to celebrate and sit with empathy and love the I's and the we's that make up that us. As we mark Mother's Day tomorrow, we do so with our hearts overflowing for all of our incredible mothers out there. We shout with joy from Bahar, from the mountaintop. And while we do so, we also must take steps down the mountain to remember that our whole is made up of unique and beautiful parts, that there are stories there, that those stories are critical to who we are, that they make us who we are, and that each and every one of them also wants, needs, and deserves love. On the mountaintop, we see Jewish family, and that is an incredible blessing. There are times when it's a curse, but that curse is just because we haven't totally figured it out yet. That curse isn't here for good. We'll navigate it together. We'll figure it out. And then what's left next to the blessing is even more blessings for us to celebrate. That's who we are, and that is worthy of celebration. I want to wish you all a Shabbat Shalom, a very happy Mother's Day, and may we continue to grow, to learn, to understand, and to love our big family through the love of our individual stories. Shabbat Shalom.